Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're jumping down into the world of XRP, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what we would expect to happen next. As I get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, you know what to do. Hit that like button. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not consider subscribing, tapping the bell, selecting all the notifications, and you'll stay up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Okay, if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, links in the description below along with our Patreon service and a whole host of additional links as well. So why not check those out? Let's get into this though. XRP paired up with USDT on the hourly chart. Binance is our data source. And, you know, we've seen some pretty interesting volatility recently. We'll talk about this recent move in a second, but I do want to just kind of zoom out just a fraction because it's worth knowing where we sit within the overall structure. We are looking for a fifth wave down lower. This is going to be our approximate target between 23.04 and 26.42 cents. Okay, so we know we've got a little bit of a drop to come here. We have to come down a little bit lower yet. We're talking anywhere really between 25 and 35%. Of course, it's possible that we drop back down towards the 17.35 cent or even potentially a little bit lower. The importance of 17.35, that goes way back to when Jay Clayton dropped the lawsuit on Ripple back in 2020. So there's an important level for us to kind of revisit if we needed to. Otherwise, for the most part, we are just looking at trying to bring down the price of XRP into this final fifth wave low, where 23 to 26 cent approximately. Now, this looks like we're basically ending in an ending diagonal. Although there is still possible that we rally on up higher first, I do find this unlikely at this point in time. Confirmation of this will come in at a later date, but I will just show you what this would look like under that kind of bullish sentiment. If I can go ahead and just actually grab that on the wick. Just going to have to zoom in a little bit here. Still not working for me. I'm just going to park that there for a second and zoom in a little bit further. Okay, I'm going to grab this and just map it to that wick just there, and then I'm going to pull this down to this area just over here. This chart doesn't want to play ball today. Okay, cool. So basically this area, right, we can look at it, maybe it's some kind of really big three-wave structure, and if that is the case and this is our local low, then we might push up to about 42.33 cent, and it would look something like this. It would be a giant A, B, C kind of thing, and our Y wave would basically just be up a little bit higher. And like I said, it's a wild card. I don't think it's really something that's going to happen, but it's worth noting that it's there nonetheless. It gets invalidated at 30.2 cents, so just down here on this dash line, so well worth keeping a close eye on that. Alternatively, maybe it's something bigger. Maybe I'm just being too bearish and, you know, we're not really kind of getting a good accurate representation, and in which case we could look at it from this point of view, where we take this low point down here and we map this over to this low point, and we can see maybe a push towards 44.58. Okay, and again, that would look like another wild card where we have an A, B, C structure like this. Also possible, and of course invalidated at 28.72 cent, anything lower than that. So, you know, there's a couple of different kind of bullish options there. However, the bearish one is that actually we're just doing an ending diagonal structure, and this ending diagonal structure is basically playing out right now. We're probably in this, let me just grab hold of my 5-wave structure, this being our wave 1, we move up into a wave 2, we move down into a wave 3, we cross over into wave 4, crossing wave 1, and then we finally finish it off down here into wave 5. Okay, this is kind of the scenario that I think is the most probable, based on lots of other kind of data sets and data points across various different cryptos such as Bitcoin, and the kind of the bigger macroeconomic climate. So we can't really be overly bullish when there really isn't that much money willing to kind of go into crypto right now. So keep that in the back of our heads. Right, let's talk now about this current structure. Okay, this one just here. A lot of people might get a little bit too excited with this one, thinking that, oh great, we've got some really good traction. And, you know, for the most part it seemed that way, but if we actually go ahead and map this with our fibs, we can actually see that we've done here is just come up to this just short of 1.236, basically making this a three-wave structure, 1, 2, and 3, like so, and is not a trend. And that's really unfortunate, but it is what it is, right? 1.618 was up here, about 36 27.45 cents, that would have been a trigger point for us. We have deviated away quite dramatically now, and therefore we are looking at this also as a three-wave structural move. And there's also a lot going on within this structure that's almost looking like a continuation pattern. So I'm not saying that we're going to continue to break down straight away, but I think there's something here that we should acknowledge. And the first thing I'll do, we talk about quite a bit recently, are these lower highs and lower lows. These actually tend to have a bit of a break to the upside, okay? But I'm imagining that we'll probably have to pull back before we can rally up anyway. So you can think of this as a bull flag, you can think of it as a parallel channel, you can think of it as many different things, it goes by different names, depending on the person talking about it, I guess, or analysing the charts. Lots of different ways of looking at it, but it basically means the same thing, and that we are going to be hopefully breaking to the upside. But before that happens, I think we have to move down, probably retest this low range before we can move on up. And the reason for that, if I bring up our stochastic RSI, it tells us pretty much the story right there. We are, of course, up in this overbought area on our hourly chart, okay, and if I come over into the 4-hourly chart, we've got some progression here, right? But we first of all have to see that correction first. On the 8-hourly charts, if it loads up, we are really high. So we are looking for corrections longer term on the 8-hour chart. We're also looking for corrections of a longer term on the daily chart and the weekly chart. These big macros, these weeklies and dailies, they are indicating that kind of 5-wave structured drop between 23 and 26 cent, right? As indicated on our hourly chart all the way down here with this area, right? 23.04 to 26.42. So those are the areas that we are thinking about on the kind of the bigger macro piece in terms of the correction. In terms of short-term movements, we are thinking, you know, kind of move to the downside, retest a lower trend line, and then of course break to the upside, taking us all back to the overbought area and finish off our structures. So if we finish 3 waves here, and we think about this as a 3-wave drop at the moment, and I'll show you what that looks like. We kind of come down here into this kind of initial drop, and then we move up, and then we pull to the downside, right? So we have something that looks like this and kind of ABC. And then, of course, you know, there's some kind of really small movements going on in the middle here, kind of fiddling around a little bit, but nothing too much. Okay, so we can think of this in a couple of different ways. We could think of this entire structure upwards here as just an A wave, for example. Let me just grab hold of this and just show you that all of this could be A, this could be B, right? We haven't finished it, it could be B, and then we move up again into a final C, okay? And if that is the case, then we could potentially be looking at maybe moving up, you know, towards some of these slightly higher ranges. Actually, it's going to be higher than that. Let me just grab hold of the actual structure from the top to the bottom. Just in here, and move this over to this point just over here, and we can see that maybe there's a push to about 40.40, right, within that structure. And we have that kind of continuation pattern, move up, then break down. And again, a part of this entire structure here is that would be our wave 2, right? So all of this is our wave 1, that's our wave 2. We move down into 3, 4, then 5, and so forth, as we already spoke about. So we got the momentum. It's kind of backing something similar to this, but I probably wouldn't think we'd go as high as that if we were to break out of here. I would be looking at the 618, the 702, the 786, these 3 key areas, 38 cent, 30 or 38.16, 38.64, and 39.13. Okay, so on this kind of hourly chart, expect some volatility is basically what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to be a quick kind of move or anything like that, but essentially our macro is still indicating that we have to finish off the trend to the downside. That hasn't changed. We're not trending to the upside. We only have these corrective structures overall. So for the most part, XRP is in an interesting position, okay? And we are looking kind of to pull back down, and we are looking to push back up afterwards. So in the immediate kind of short term, I'm looking for some kind of move to the downside. And then after that is completed, I'm looking for some kind of brief push to the upside before then once again continuing the trend on the macro scale to the downside. Ultimately, the bigger kind of economic piece is quite bearish, and there's nothing really to be too excited about. Not a lot of people actually who would be buying up cryptocurrency assets have a lot of disposable money at the moment, and considering that we're going into the winter, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But if you are looking for more of the macro kind of piece, then join me on the live streams in the mornings on BTC, where we talk a little bit more about those kind of bigger kind of pieces pieces over the macro structure of crypto and, of course, wider economics. So as I kind of finish this video off, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell. Make sure you stay up to date with all the video streams and the live streams and the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Remember to join us down in Discord. Links in the description below, guys. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.